Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct consumer marketing world. Welcome to the first event in our 2024 Summer Seminar Series, today created by the PDMI's Women's Leadership Council, Finding Your Potential and Living Your Best Life. We welcome all of you to today's event, PDMI members and non-members alike. If you're not a PDMI member but are attending today, we'd love to have you consider joining the association. There's no better way to support the mission of the PDMI than joining and sharing your voice in the direction of the industry. In the handouts tab of your control panel, you'll find our PDMI membership brochure. There you download it, flip through it, and contact any of our team members should you desire more information. One more housekeeping note. The group will be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of the session, but you do not have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the webinar. Setting and attaining goals leads to a clear purpose, allowing you to embrace life changes, learn new things, and grow. This special 60-minute webinar, created by the Women's Leadership Council, will lean into finding your passion and understanding who you are so that what you do, both personally and professionally, is fulfilling. The host and moderator of today's event is Fern Lee, CEO of THOR Associates, a member of the PDMI's e-commerce council, and the chair of the Women's Leadership Council. Fern is an experienced award-winning expert with a proven track record of creating brand loyalty, lead generation, and transactional revenue by utilizing brand and direct response marketing methods, including DRTV production and media, digital, radio, print, retail, home shopping, and international to create a robust ROI. In 2018, Fern was inducted in the Direct Response Hall of Fame, and under the THOR umbrella, she's opened the funnel and provided success to such clients as MetLife, AIG, Humana, Transact, Johnson & Johnson, Colonial Penn, Mars, Balsam Hill, Focus Factor, and more. Welcome, Fern, and welcome to this stellar group of women. Take it away.
Thank you, Tom. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for showing up. This is the Hour of Empowerment. So it could be a very different kind of webinar that we've ever done before. So hopefully you'll embrace it. So now let's lean in and let me introduce the panel. Eileen Fraser has 30+ years as an international award-winning direct marketer. Eileen invented, patented, and created the Intelligent Handshake technology. Intelligent Handshake lifts your revenue and averages 25% on your website or at your call center. Jenny Parrish is a 22-year veteran in performance marketing. She leads growth and manages Ringba's programmatic exchange as an EVP. She oversees the company's call marketplace, combining strategic business development with platform management to position Ringba as a leader in connecting business with high intent callers through advanced call tracking and real-time exchange technology. Next, we have Gina Pomponi. She's the president and COO of Bluewater Media. Her leadership has been pivotal in scaling Bluewater's media division into a multi-million-dollar business, significantly contributing to the agency's overall growth and diversification. Gina's been in the DRTV industry for almost 35 years. More importantly, she's a single mom of her daughter Samantha, a successful doctor, and Mimi, where she's at right now, to an adorable 3-year-old little boy. And last but not least is Sandra Rosales. She's the business development manager and senior account manager at Dial 800, a brand under Ring Square. She's been with the organization for 8 years, specializing in working with D2C agencies and brands to optimize call performance marketing. Prior to this role, Sandra had experience in digital marketing and technology and spent 10 years in the P&C insurance industry. So welcome. Now to the webinar, Finding Your Potential and Living Your Best Life. So we're going to have lots of mixing up of back and forth. So we're going to have single people answering certain questions, and we're going to have the whole group answering several questions. So we'll go from there depending on time, and we'll see how we can really encompass all. So the first one is we discuss about giving back. It's very, very important. Giving back actually propels you, your job, and your personal life forward. So Gina, I'm going to start with you. Is giving back one of your goals, and how do you give back?
Yeah, it actually always has been. I like to think of it in 2 different ways. There's giving back in our industry, and something that's always been important to me is mentoring, and mentoring not just externally as the program that the Women Council set up, Fern, but also I've always done this, right? Always brought assistants on to work for me that I've grown. And there's been, assistants that have worked for me over the years are now vice presidents of marketing. There's a couple that are 2 that are CEOs. One went a different way and is a controller. So I think it's really, really important You know, I had somebody in my life that mentored me when I was younger, and I've always felt it's very important that we give back in that sense.
I agree.
That's the first way. Yeah, and I know you do the same thing. And the second way that's just equally as important is, you know, to the community. And that has been something that, you know, I instilled in even my child at a very young age. Even, you know, when she was very young and we couldn't afford a lot, there's always, you know, letting her know that there's always people that need our help or that are worse off than we are. But, you know, today I can do quite a bit. I give to the Suncoast Animal Shelter. You know, I sing in a rock band, so we've done benefits and raised, you know, $20,000, adopting families for Christmas, and a program called The Kind Mouse that helps kids that don't have enough to eat, getting them food every single week to take home. You know, the teachers put it in backpacks. So, yeah, so really two ways. And hopefully you're not getting a lot of feedback from me.
A little, but it's okay. It's
A little.
fine. Thank you. All right, so Jenny,
Try to push my screen away.
no worries. Jenny, how does giving back help you with your work, your attitude, and obviously your life? Because we're going to wrap around everything we're talking about is both business and personal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you know, when you think about volunteering, whether it's, you know, time, money, whatever it might be, I think that you're kind of developing that skill, especially when you do it in person, right? You're dedicating your time, you're coming together with a lot of folks that are from different walks of life. You're learning skills when you're doing that, problem solving, communication, leadership, all of that can be adopted into the workplace. I think that there's also networking opportunities. You know, as you're volunteering, I think that, you know, a lot of us are coming together and we have expertise potentially in the same industry. And one that I'm a participant in really focuses on human trafficking and rehabilitating those that have been victims of that. And we are mentors to them, and we all come together from different walks of life in regards to, you know, our backgrounds and our specialties, but we're all coming together for the benefit of those that have been victimized and trying to help them kind of get a better life. And so that is very much adaptable to our work life, just in the skills that we're learning to help all of these individuals. You know, from an attitude standpoint, I think that it keeps you grounded. Giving back takes you back to, I mean, especially for me, for my roots. You know, I was, as a young child, humble beginnings at the receiving end of a lot of those contributions that the community helped with. And so I'm very much grounded in to say that this is where I began my life. I want to make sure that I am, you know, contributing to those that I can, and hopefully, you know, benefit their lives, like that their, you know, the kindness of the community helped my family when we were, you know, early on and just getting started in this country. And so I think that with giving back, it also, it improves your mental health. I think that you see the benefit. It kind of grows your empathy, your compassion, your sense of purpose. I'm one that advocates always understanding your why, and I think that that really is something that you can pour yourself into. You feel good about it. You have strong social connections, and it's just personal growth overall.
Absolutely. So Eileen, how do you fit in giving back? Okay, so we have a mixture of, is it time versus money, or is it a mixture of both?
Well, I came into giving back a little later in life than it sounds like Jenny did, but I started out with organizations like the Junior League, and it was more, I would call it social, but we did some really amazing projects. Like in the early days of hospice, we developed a video that explained the value of hospice when it was an unknown entity, and a major organization in the US, a hospice organization, used it all over the country. So we did some really wonderful things. But later in my career, I really want to focus on a time when I was departing my last employment job to start my own business, at the same time file my first patent, and concurrently the church I was associated with was about to go under, and I came up with a plan to change their financial structure, but it involved selling property, taking down a building, rebuilding, building a new building, hire an architect and builders. And the comment at the time was, I mean, there's no way you can start a new business, file your first patent, which I didn't know anything about, and take on this massive project at the church, because anybody who's ever been involved in a group organization knows that trying to herd cats to get a consensus is really, really hard. It's easier to tackle a project on your own than it is with a group. So that was quite a learning curve for me, working with an organization such as that, a nonprofit organization. But anyway, the point I wanted to make was that Saturday nights when I'd be writing my conference reports for all the meetings from the prior week, my sister would call and say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're wasting your time. You know, everybody else is having a good time, and you're sitting there in meetings at night after work, and you're writing conference reports on Saturday night. What is wrong with you?" What she didn't quite realize is I got more out of it than anybody else. And I don't think I actually would have been successful in my new business or in my patent had I not actually put forth that extra effort, because it grew me as a person. It was a bit of part of it was challenging. Everybody said you couldn't do it, so that only is like fuel to me, right? Okay, good, give it to me. But really, it was a balance, and it kept me on task, and it kept me thinking about something else rather than the day-to-day issues. So I really, at the end of the 6 years, which was all pro bono, I look back and I think, thank God I did that, because I got more out of it than anybody else.
It's nice. That's very nice to hear.
Yeah, I didn't answer your time versus money. Money's easy.
Yeah, that is the whole principle.
Is the hard one.
Very easy to write a check, and I'm guilty of that. I was guilty of that. I've changed my whole life in the last 3 years, and it's just, I was like, yeah, it's easy to write a check. Now it's even easier to write a check, but it's about me giving back.
Yeah, and writing a check is good because it keeps all those organizations working too. I don't mean to diminish that at all. If you can write a check, write a check. And I do both, but for me, I got more out of it when I put in my personal time.
Absolutely. Thank you. So Sandra, one of the things I'm going to ask you is, why do you give back? And what are the benefits to you personally and professionally that you give back? And were these taught to you as a child? Is that a reason? Did your parents raise you that way? Why do you give back?
Yeah, so my family and I contribute in many ways. Growing up, my parents faced significant struggles. At times, we relied on the local churches for food. We received donated presents during the holidays. These experiences had a profound impact on me, instilling the importance of community, of giving back. I hope to pass these values on to my children. Personally and professionally, giving back reminds me of the importance of empathy and community support. I believe it enriches my life in several ways. I obviously want to do more. It's hard to be able to fit time versus money in, especially when you've got, kids, dogs, house responsibilities. But, also working for a company that has a giving back program is very important to me from a cultural and morale standpoint. So it's all been an ongoing process, personally and professionally, for me. And yes, I was definitely taught this as a child.
Love it. I love it. All right, so let's move to unlimited potentials. So if there are no rules and you couldn't fail, what would your dream job be, Jenny?
Oh boy. So it's funny that I've actually even penciled this idea out. It's actually an app that we would kind of Uberize all types of different services in our world. A busy mom of two, obviously working full time, counsels, all kinds of stuff. I thought of the concept of being able to figure out availability for everything from a mani-pedi to finding an ear, nose, and throat doctor when my 4-year-old stuck an eraser in his ear. The amount of time and effort that goes into being able to say, oh my gosh, I have an hour, I've got to get my nails done before the next conference, and trying to have all that energy poured into trying to find an available person. And then on the other end, all these professionals behind the chair, waiting for customers to walk in. I think that it could serve so many different purposes. So really, that would be my dream job, is to develop this app that we could carry it across multiple industries and help all the busy family members out there, and also help the professionals that are just sitting there waiting for customers to come through the door. So
I download that app.
I love it. I think all 5 of us would download that app. So I'm going to jump in. My dream job would be, I would like to teach and coach. And I think it's so unfortunate in this world that we don't pay our teachers and coaches enough. That would have been my career, my whole life, whether it's started high school, then moved to collegiate, but that was my, dream. And it's unfortunate that just couldn't make it happen with the financial, that we pay our teachers and coaches. So Eileen, what's your dream job?
I have it. I
love
really
it.
love my job. I do. But I also, in my job, I look for failure too. I think failure is a teachable thing. That's where I really make inroads. When something fails, boy, I really learn a lot, and I rely on the failures to create the successes. So
we're going to talk about on the road about failures. So that's important. Let's hold on. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fortunate to do what I love. Not everybody has that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandra, so in a perfect world, what's your dream job? And it could be anything.
I mean, teaching was always something I wanted to do, but I've always considered myself a business person at heart. So my dream job wouldn't be vastly different from what I do. I haven't put a lot of thought into it like Jenny has, but it would, it would involve positively impacting businesses in a way that would enhance their overall quality of life. I'm not a community worker in any sense of the word. So if there's some way I can make a positive impact in somebody else's life, as long as there's that, really thrive in business where the culture is important, that to me is something that would be my dream job.
Fantastic.
It's not vastly different from what I do.
Which is great. Gina, besides wanting to be a yacht woman, what would be your dream job?
Oops.
Oh, lost Gina.
We lost your
audio.
Gina, no audio.
I'm on mute. Sorry, gotcha. I wanted to make sure I wasn't beating back. I guess it's a close tie between rock star and Pilates instructor, which I have both, right? But to your point, Fern, it wasn't. I wanted to be a rock star, but make rock star money. So,
and
I do both, but.
Accolades to you, because let me tell you, when Gina told me that she was going to become a Pilates instructor, I looked at her like she had 10 heads. I go, are you just what you need to add one more thing onto your diet?
Oh, yeah.
Breath to take. Eric's going to kill you. And you know what? Accolades. She has become unbelievable. It's just amazing. So really good accolades to you. All right. So
thank you.
If you had a chance to change something in your personal life, okay, what would be your, ideal dream? You can have anything you want in your personal life. What would it be?
You asking me? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Sandra.
My personal life?
Yeah. So how would you change? What would you do if you could do anything? If there's no rules, you do anything
no
personal.
Rules. Yeah, that's a good one. If financial concerns were not an issue, I would probably prioritize personal growth by pursuing further education and learning opportunities. I would take more risks, such as traveling and maybe investing in a startup. So Jenny, at any point, you get this going. Focusing more on deepening my relationships by dedicating more time to the people who matter most. Additionally, I would increase my efforts to give back to the community, as I know firsthand the difference that the support can make for families in need.
Fantastic. That's great. And Gina, okay, no rules, no anything, okay? What would you change personally?
So adding to the rock star Pilates lifestyle, I would spend more time. I would spend more time up here with my grandson, and as you know, I'm remarried and actually technically have 5 grandchildren. So I have plenty of grandchildren to split the time up between. So it doesn't pay well, though.
That's okay. That's okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
Eileen, what would you do personally?
Change locations. I'd like to, now that we're not tethered to an urban environment, go really out into the countryside. Maybe that'll happen someday, but that's a goal of mine. I also have the idea of working with inventors to help them take their idea from just the idea to a reality. And I've enjoyed working with a lot of different people at different levels of a product evolution, but I'd really like to go back to working with inventors and just giving them, hand-holding them through that process, because it's really challenging because of so many factors, as you know, with each of our clients. But there's some magic in that, bringing an idea forward. There's really magic there, and I think I'd love to light that spark.
Love it, love it. So change is a very scary thing, whether you're female, male, it's just change is very, very hard for people to embrace. So do you have the confidence to embrace change in your life, Gina?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, just going back to school to becoming a Pilates instructor, you know, I have more confidence than one human should have, being able to get on stage in front of 1,000 people. And I am changing my life. Having had a child that, before I was old enough to drink alcohol, I think now I'm finally getting a work-life balance and making those things fit in, what the stuff that's really important. So yeah, I have confidence.
Absolutely. And Jenny?
Yeah, I mean, I think that change is it's a sign of survival, I think, in life and in this industry. I embrace it. I actually, I'm in my second home up in the mountains, completely out of my traditional comfort zone of mosquitoes and lakes and hiking that I'm used to down in Southern California, and I've loved it. I love that I can kind of just go with a different environment and see the effect it has on my young kids and myself, and just kind of taking a different type of deep breath. So I think it's super important, and it's something that I like to say that I can go with and embrace.
Fantastic. Eileen?
I'm sorry, what was the question, Fern? I was still listening to Jenny and thinking about her, and also thinking about Gina taking the chance of getting married again. But
well, it's about confidence. It's about embracing change. Is that easy for you? Is it hard for you to embrace change?
Yeah, well, I'll stay on the geography here for a second. When I was young, I moved across the country from Detroit to Boston with my soon-to-be first husband, and then moved right back. And then with my second husband, I left Detroit and moved to California, stayed in California, so that was successful. And now I'm thinking of going again to a different location by myself. So what was interesting is the first two times I had a man with me. Now it's like I'm on my own. Can I do it on my own? So there's a little bit of trepidation there. Do I have the confidence to do that? I think so, but the proof is in the pudding. And to go from a more rural environment, I think I'll love it, but we'll see. So do I have the confidence? I have confidence that I'll be led to the right place.
I love it. Fantastic. And Sandra, can you change?
Yeah, change can be intimidating and it's hard, but I consider myself resilient. So yes, I've got the confidence to embrace change.
I love it. I love it. All right, so this is a tough one. This is very, very different. This is all about goal setting, and think about what you currently, would write on your own epitaph. So thinking about where you're going to be at the end of the life while you're still in your present life. So it'll be kind of interesting. So Jen, this one's for you. So if you were at the end of your life, looking at your tombstone, what would it say?
It would say that my life was a testament to the power of passion, perseverance, and purpose. I really feel like I've been on this journey of discovering the why, and I feel like at the end of my life, it will say that I achieved that. I understood my purpose, and I made an impact to those that were near and dear to me, and I think that would sum it up, I guess, in an overarching statement.
I like it. And so, Eileen, what would your epitaph say about business? I'm going to have Sandra talk about personal, but I want you to talk about business.
Succeeded against all odds.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. And Sandra, tell me personally.
I hope it would say I was a cherished friend, a wonderful mother, and a loving wife who dedicated herself wholeheartedly to every task that she undertook.
I love it. Accolades, great. So Gina, what is the overarching statement about your life? This confidence, I had to give you that question.
I
You
know
know
that was so, yeah, confidence. It was really hard. You know, I asked my husband, I'm like, what would you say about me? And he just like literally didn't even hesitate. He was like ambitious, driven, self-made, industry expert, learner, leader, committed, all in. I was like, damn.
Well, you should have met this guy at 18. This
I
is
was
the
like, well,
greatest
I
guy in the
expected
world.
you to say loving, caring wife, mother, and Mimi, but okay. So, yeah, I hope, I mean, all that stuff is great. And I know that I'm sure that I'll be remembered for my impact on this industry, but I hope first and foremost that I'm remembered as a good person, a caring person, somebody you can trust, somebody that, you know, is loving.
I love it.
You know?
That's absolutely. So, Jenny, tell me, you know, you used the words perseverance, you used purpose, you used passion. Tell me, you know, really what was it, why did you choose this?
Yeah, I think I chose them because it's really kind of rooted in who I am and how I was brought up. Those words aren't just descriptions. It's a way of life, and I think that it keeps me being who I am. I want to lead with a whole heart and all in. I don't want to be known as someone that isn't grounded and isn't going to be the person that you see in front of you. And so I chose those words because they really mean something to me. It is at the root of who I am.
Love it. And Sandra, can you make changes now so that when you get to the end of the road, personally, you'll be able to put your hand and say, I did it all?
Yeah, I mean, each day brings a new opportunity to change, taking that extra moment in the morning to project the type of day I see ahead, having a mantra reminding me of my ultimate goals. You know, sometimes it's just prioritizing myself over others as well. And that would help me propel to make those changes.
I love it. And so, Eileen, you talked about moving, which is always scary. Moving can be scary. It's a big change, but you know, you're fortunate at this point in your career that you've built an unbelievable career and it's keep growing. Your funnel keeps opening, you know. So do you see yourself making that change?
I do. Yeah, I really do. It is, I've always seen it as my reward, you know, personal reward for getting to a certain point in my life. And it opens up that door, that incubator door to helping inventors that I talked about. It's sort of all combined because it's not an app like Jenny spoke of, but it's a personal point where I can help others, and in an environment that's very peaceful and joyous. Do I think I can get there? Yeah, I do. And I think that we always have to have a goal. If we don't have a goal, we're going backwards. So no matter what success you have in life, you must set that next goal. That is as important as your day to day. And I always have had that, okay, yeah, you've done great, but you know what? There's that next thing. So always I will push myself, and in pushing myself, the next thing will open up. It won't be the last thing I do.
And so Gina, okay, so I've known you for 30 years. I mean, I have to say to you, watching you grow and hearing you say, you know, that you're in Pennsylvania and your work-life balance, you're somebody like, this is how Gina, this is it. Her daughter's pulling at her, she's like, and Gina's pulling back, and this is Gina. Okay, folks, Gina's like they're going back. Now it's all
I
about.
had the only 6-year-old that could make her own doctor's appointments because mommy was at work.
It's just amazing how I've watched you grow and how your life has expanded. And, you know, personally, you know, your significant other, how you are with your children, your grandchild, your grandchildren really. But so
Yeah.
what made that change for you? Tell me, what was the trajectory? What made you make that final decision, and how did that come about? When did it happen?
Final decision to
do a work-life balance.
Do a work-life balance. You know, I think that empowering other people did it, and just like Maria Eden empowered me so many years ago, I'm finally learning to let go and learning that, you know, it's not, my way is not the absolute only way. And, you know, the people that I've surrounded myself and trained and mentored and grown really are able to take it without me and, you know, let them fail forward. You know, what do they say? Failure's not final.
Right.
Let them fail forward, be there to consult, to adapt. And, you know, I see my, you know, my daughter's having children now. So I want to be there. I don't want to miss that. And I think that, you know, when we started in business, I didn't even have a computer, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I didn't have a computer.
Yeah,
more or less email, more or less remote access, more, you know, there's no reason that I can't be in Pennsylvania, right? And be here with my grandson to do all of those things. And I don't want to miss everything. So I think, I don't know. I think I'm finally feeling the age and realizing that I have grown people and I have found the right people, the smart people.
Which is fantastic. And it goes to,
yeah.
you know, next category, ethics in business. And to your point, it's like, you know, the bottom line is, you know, we don't want to talk about the pandemic anymore. It's over with history, but it's not, because it's still moving you forward. It's changing your whole business mindset that, you know, listen, I hear so many times that we feel so sorry for these young kids who don't get to go in the office, but they are starting to go in the office 2 or 3 times. But then I hear from all these other kids saying, hey, it's great because I can work from Hawaii for the next 2 weeks. And I'm really working just as hard as if I was in an office. I'm still on the phone all the time, but they're learning a better balance than I think that we did when we were young, you know, so it's kind of interesting. So how do you think the pandemic affected your work life, Jenny?
Oh man, I mean, I had my young daughter going through kindergarten at home alongside with me. That was a completely new experience. Having to pull my, at that point, 3-year-old out of, you know, Montessori and seeing the social impacts of that, it was incredibly challenging from a personal side. Professionally, I significantly miss, because being part of a remote organization, the only time I get to see folks are when we get company, you know, outings together or conferences. So when all of that went away, there was a sense of isolation that was really challenging to get through. I missed, you know, just being around a team. And so, you know, I learned how to embrace it. And you know, I think we, you know, roll with the punches when it came to kindergarten. You're so right about teachers being underpaid. I was like, oh my God, this is so difficult. So it did give me a shifted, you know, perception of those that really serve our community and across the board. But I definitely missed the personal interaction. I think business slowed down because of it. I think businesses were significantly impacted. There was a lot of movement in there, but it did kind of teach me to be agile, and, you know, also figure out kind of those that I want to really invest my time into, and what, and, you know, kind of how to get through some of those challenges of not being able to be face to face with some of your prospects and business partners where you do your best work. But it was definitely impactful. I felt it. I'm very happy that we are through that phase, hopefully, for some time.
And so for me, it was very different, you guys, because I travel every single week. So I had 12 straight years of traveling almost every single week, except for the 3 months or 2 months that I was, you know, in California, Southern California. But so everyone was like freaking out for me. They're like, oh my God, she's going to work out of her house. How's this going to be? She's going to have a breakdown. Blah, blah. Bless, I have a gigantic house in New York City. And secondly, the joke was, I had a stand-up desk at the kitchen, I had the couch, I had my desk upstairs, I had a media room, I had this. It was like almost like a relief to me that I didn't have to get on a plane, train, or automobile, or stay at a hotel. It was just like, oh my God. And like, my house was brand new to me because I never lived there, you know, so it was interesting. How did you handle the pandemic? You two have young children, so how was that for you? Sandra?
How was it for me? Oh,
the pandemic with children.
Yeah, so like, you know, women in the workplace during the pandemic experienced a huge impact, you know, professionally and personally. We had a large volume of job losses, more than men. And as a new mom at the time, so I had a 6-month-old, you know, we as the moms are the primary caretakers, but with not having the care, you know, schools, and I didn't have a place to bring my child. There were some moments where it was a bit challenging and it was hard. I had to perform at full capacity at my job, and not being present with my team members really had taken a toll on me. I was incredibly lucky, though, to be living with my in-laws at the time. Had that not been the case, I couldn't imagine the state of my mental health or well-being. But now we fast forward to now having 2 children, working from home full time. I feel so fortunate to be able to work with a company that allows me to be around during these formative years. Having a community of other women in similar shoes helped me stay on my path as well. Knowing I'm more than a mom, even though that is such a huge part of who I am. But I have much more to offer, and my career is important to me. So when like reevaluating how to get like a fulfilling path is an ongoing process. I self-assess, I set goals, typically short term. I work on time management, recently started a family calendar. So my husband and I are on the same page for all the work and family activities. And I really value communication. So with my organization and family members.
Love it. Eileen, and how did you survive the pandemic?
Well, I'd gotten a call from my sister that my mother was close to passing. So I threw some clothes in a bag, jumped in my car, drove 300 miles to Arizona, and got there before she did pass. So that was great. But just as the week she passed was the week COVID hit. And the first reaction was, could we at least have a service, get flowers, before everything shut down? And we were able to at least do an outdoor service, so nobody was nobody was too close. But I realized LA was shutting down. So I ended up staying at my sister's and her husband's house for 2-3 months, working remote. So I didn't have a lot of clothes. I didn't really pack for a long-term visit. And she was so sweet. She set up an office for me in one of her rooms. And so I had my office going, and I, worked remote. And then I thought, well, I better find my way back to LA, just kind of check in. And in LA, my office has an outdoor doorway out to the outside. So it's very safe from that perspective. But I found it was very difficult to have services done. So if I needed a manicure or whatever, I'd shoot back over to Arizona, 300 miles to go get something done. Just because partly I could see her, but also just, be a woman for a moment, it's like, oh yeah, all those services that got put on hold. I don't have a kid, so that wasn't an impact for me, but I miss seeing people face to face. I think there's a lot to be gained from when you can have a face-to-face meeting. I certainly learned how to use Zoom and all of that, but I didn't have to travel. That was okay, but I did miss the interaction. I'm very grateful for PDMI that brings us together in events like this, as well as the person-to-person. So I weathered COVID, but learned a lot. Learned a lot how to do it remote.
I think we all did. So Jenny, what was this is something totally different in business ethics. What was a specific challenge that has occurred in your job, past or present, and how were you challenged and how did you handle it?
Yeah, so, many years ago, there was a specific program that we were running with Google. And long story short, we had about 30 to 40% of our entire revenue going with this particular program. And the decision happened literally overnight where Google restricted our main media source. It was lights off. They said, you know what, we're no longer accepting this media type. And it was millions of dollars in revenue a month, a year. It impacted my team significantly because some of our, account managers and business development folks had all of their clients on this specific program. So my team, some of my teammates went from making, significant commissions to nothing. It was incredibly challenging. And I think that there was a few ways that we weathered the storm. One is looking at how quickly we can diversify into other programs that would perform similarly. Also, it taught us to not honestly have that focus, that percentage of our business in one particular media type. So at least we were able to figure out, okay, we need to have a diversification plan. How do we become experts in other media types that are going to be potentially less risk averse, and those that are going to be embraced from a broader standpoint. So it was, you know, unfortunately short-term pain. We couldn't pivot as quickly as we would have liked, but we did get growth from it after all, and the diversification made us a lot stronger. But we had to be very creative about how we can retain our talent and, you know, additionally kind of recover from the revenue loss. But fortunately, we were able to find complementary media types that were able to actually surpass the original media type that we were looking at that we weren't able to use anymore. So yeah, it was very challenging, but, you know, fortunately weathered the storm. But it takes a lot of creativity to get out of those situations. And most importantly is you've got to learn from it and figure out how to strategize to not be in that situation again.
Absolutely. So in our direct response world, there are many different metrics. You know, everything is data centric, everything is metric. That's how we all live our life, and we breathe metrics. That's all we do.
Mm-hmm.
So which metrics are the most important in your position and in your business, and how does it affect you personally? Gina?
It's so funny because having been in this business since I've been 19 years old, everything in my life is like, there's a metric, there's a goal, right? And I'm an extremely logical person. So obviously this industry was a great fit for me. But I would say that I do everything test, fail. Let's face it, I've been married 4 times, but you know what? I got it absolutely right this time. And I'll tell you, I am married to the most wonderful man on the face of the earth. But I think it's not as much as what are the metrics. It's having them, having the metrics set up as for whatever it is you're doing, and then not hesitating, right? Getting the data that you need and moving immediately, and not being dragging your feet on anything. If it's personal life, if it's personnel, if it's, you know, just like with media results.
And Eileen, on what metrics do you determine success, failure, and when it's a failure, when do you pivot? How quickly do you pivot? And how does it affect you personally, not just business-wise, personally? It's hard to own a failure.
Yeah, well, that it is. Well, first of all, my testing success rate is about 75%, so I can deal with the 25% where, okay, I need to make an adjustment. But the place where I see folks getting lost is there are so many metrics in our business that they get very excited about hey, I'm doing a 2-to-1 MER. Well, that's great, but what's your break even? You know, their break even might be a 3-to-1, but they're at a 2-to-1 and they're excited. So it is really nailing down a couple of key things that, you know, what is your minimum break even? And then my favorite metric of all is dollars per unique visitor or unique caller. Every transaction either goes through a website or a call center, unless you're into retail, person to person. So in the metrics of a website, you know, it's okay, great. You know, we're all about AOV, but at the end of the day, it's what did you spend in the media to get, and what did you get out at the other end based on unique visitors. So I find that dollars per unique visitor is really a normalizer, that it takes both conversion rate into the equation as well as the AOV and gets you to a true metric that you can compare. So I really like to use dollars per unique visitor. I always like to know where my client's break even is, and then we can go to town.
And Sandra, what metrics do you determine success or failure? And when you have failure, what do you do to turn it around, and how does it affect you personally?
Yeah, I'm speaking specifically in business development. So failure provides just valuable learning opportunities by understanding why a potential client was interested in our services and why they ultimately chose not to move forward. So we can better prepare for the future opportunities, and pivoting however we can create chaos both internally and externally. Internally, obviously, it can disrupt workflows and require team members to adapt to new strategies quickly. Where externally, it might cause confusion or frustration among clients who need to adjust their expectations and plans. So effective communication is really the strategy. And personally, it affects the bottom line, but it also teaches you an opportunity how you can improve your overall skills and see what fits best for what clientele. So there's a lot of, I think failure is important. I think it gives you a lot of opportunity to learn about yourself and other people, and that can help you professionally and personally.
Absolutely, it's so aligned. So when we're talking about key metrics for success, women helping women, people empowering people, it's very, very important. So Jenny, how do you feel that women should empower other women, and who's empowered you, and how does this apply to whether it's through business, whether it's through personal, family, etc.? We're all gonna answer that, guys.
Yeah, who's empowered me? Fern Lee. Honestly, I see you as a mentor. You have allowed me the opportunities to get out of my comfort zone and participate in things that I never have. So you're definitely on that list, Fern. But in addition to that, it's been everybody from my mom and sister. My sister's the one that got me into this industry. To other mentors in the space that are business owners. And, I've always been either, on an executive team or part of another organization, but I've never myself, owned a business. And so a lot of those I look to are those that own their own businesses. And I'm in awe of everything that they do. And they support me and I support them in different ways. I think that we talk a lot about supporting each other, but I think also, mentorship has been incredible. But even sponsorship, I think that as we get to know each other's specialties and making recommendations about, hey, you really need to work with this person. They know what they're doing. Their business can add value. I think that sponsorship can go a really far way in helping each other kind of grow and building more of an equality type of space for all of us. I think it can empower all of us to just help each other a bit more. I think it carries across, business, friendship, families, because it all comes down to, I think, supporting each other, wanting to see the best for all of us, right? I think it's thinking about how to be collaborative, not competitive. I think that there's a place for all of us. We just need to make sure that we are, leading with open eyes and a feeling of, hey, I want to do the best that I can do, and I want to do the best that I can do for all of us to succeed. So I think that we can learn a lot from each other and support each other and still all win, honestly.
Totally agree. It's always a win-win. And Sandra, give us a little about how you feel about empowering women to women and who's helped mentor you, and whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's business person.
Sure. I mean, you're my mentor for the PDMI Women's Council, so you've been instrumental for thinking about things that I haven't necessarily thought about. So I appreciate that. Early in my career, my primary mentors and superiors were women. They exhibited patience and kindness, intelligence and thoroughness. Their guidance was instrumental in paving the way for my development into leadership roles. Their teaching not only empowered me, but also inspired me to empower others, whether in professional settings, among family or friends. Lessons of mutual support, encouragement, shared growth, and are invaluable. As a woman who has primarily worked with executive teams comprised mostly of men, I firmly believe in the importance of empowering women to recognize and assert their worth. It's crucial for women to support each other and stand up for one another in the workplace. I've observed, distinct differences in how men and women are often treated and taught in professional settings. Therefore, I make it a priority to demonstrate to other women that their voices and strength matters. If there are opportunities for career advancement, women should pursue them confidently and unapologetically.
Love it. And Eileen, give us a little of your heritage on mentoring and, women empowering other women and things of that nature.
Well, I have to go back to my automotive days for this, because I was in direct response, of course. And my ad agency brought in a consultant over me. Lovely woman. I hated her. Oh my gosh.
Lovely woman, hated her.
I was really not happy. And who is this person coming in? Why do we need her? You've got to be kidding me. So I was very resistant early on. And we laugh about it now because she stood up at my wedding. She's my best friend in life now. But early on, it was not easy. And but I watched her and I learned from her, and I could watch her pitch. And she taught me the value of true cost-benefit analysis, and how to really sell an idea. And so once I got over my hatred, then I really started to listen, and she took me on as her protege. So that was really, really beneficial, because she's the one person that really taught me more about direct response than anybody else in the world. And of course, in automotive, I had many, many mentors that were men, and they were very gracious and really helped me with communications and all kinds of things. But anyway, Mary was the one that really stood out. And I remember that. So when I'm introduced to other people, I try to remember, they could be thinking what I was thinking way back when. I got to make sure, I kind of help them feel comfortable. But anyway, Mary, in later years, I worked for her initially, as she was brought in as my boss, and then later on, I hired her when I was a client, and I've hired her as an employee. So I've worked for her, she's worked for me. It doesn't really matter. I don't care who works for whom. She's just the best. And I learned a lot from that experience and how to work with other people. I think women can be competitive. Boy, I'll tell you, I'll own that, because I really was in a man's world and I was fighting for every inch. But I learned to step back and to listen and to watch. And boy, it was the best learning curve I ever had. And I've used that for all the years since. So I'm grateful. I think what I try to do always now is to start with gratitude, as opposed, I tend to be towards competitive early on, but now I try to start with gratitude with whomever I'm working with. And I find that keeps me in line, but also it's a surprise these days. How many times are you out of the blue, given just a word of thanks? And I try to surprise people with that, because I think, not just for the surprise, but I really like the empathy that comes with it and the connection that it brings. So man or woman, I really try to do my best and take advantage of every moment.
Thank you, Ricky. Gina, why don't you finish this up quickly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy one for me with Maria Eden. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Now, what I loved hearing, and I'll give you a second to say, is hearing you say, how much you learned from your mentor, and now how important it is for you to trust and mentor, because that was one of the things that I got to observe, how much she allowed you to fail up, and you used the exact words I would have used, and I thought it was just phenomenal. Let me let you finish it for the last minute, and then we'll jump to questions, and then we're out. Yeah,
no, Maria Eden, I mean, I to this day, I tell her, what she did for me, and how young I was, and, being a single mother and hadn't even finished college. And Fern, you remember, I was a huge pain in the you-know-what, because I would be like, what are you doing? Show me, I can do it better. I'll do it. And gosh, when you see somebody like that, when you have somebody like that on your staff, take them, give them everything, let them fail forward. They're going to grow. They're going to move forward. I want more of those. Anybody listening, please call me that wants to learn. Yeah, no, really. So I feel like
in my next life.
Yeah, I know Fern. I know you know Maria. Eileen, I'm sure you know Maria Eden as well. But yeah, she was just amazing. They don't make them like that anymore.
Absolutely. Kind, giving, intelligent.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. Just
yeah. And I've only ever really worked with women. I never worked with men until Bluewater, right? So, and I'm lucky. I feel like all the women in this industry, even my competitors, we're all friends. Like, we go to these conventions. I feel, everybody's friendly. There's no, I'm sure we're competing in a business sense, but we all, get along, and it's really wonderful. I don't know if every industry is that way, but feel lucky that we're in this one.
We are lucky, and we have a chance to rise up. I know as a young woman, Katie Williams was a big mentor of mine, and, so fortunate that she had no ego, and just, I'd sit around the table. I was this brash 20-year-old. Like, if I were her, I would have just put a knife through me. I'd easily just put a knife right through me, right? But it's hand and to keep giving. I mean, Katie's one of my closest friends, like Maria's one of your closest
Yeah,
friends.
she's great.
So,
She's
Tom,
great too.
were there any questions?
Yeah, you know what? We have a few, but I'm going to try to wedge one or two in here before we sign off. And I want to give a shout out to Maria Eden as well. You know, I
Yeah.
know Maria going way back, but she is always one of the first people to like or send a note about a picture of my kids on Facebook, like consistently. It is very sweet and
It's
very
amazing.
And I haven't spoken to her probably in 10 years, but she's right on top of that.
She called me for my birthday on Monday. Yeah, we're still very close.
That's great.
It's
That's
like my other mother. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Here's the first question I'll throw at you. There was talk earlier about maintaining balance and finding ways, how you found personal satisfaction and maintaining balance. How are you able to mirror any personal satisfaction in your professional day-to-day?
Jenny, go ahead, jump in.
Oh, wow. Satisfaction on a personal level into the professional. You know, I think that it's about a sense of self, honestly. I think that leading with confidence and knowing that, you know what, I can be a good mom and still have a full-time job and still be dedicated. And I can know that in confidence that on the flip side, I can put 110% into my work and still be a quality mom and still be there for my kids when it's important. So I think that being grounded in yourself is really important for me. And that's how I tend to approach things, that I can do both things well. I can give both, you know, my all and still feel like I'm not suffering on one side or the other. And so that's one thing I think that I can kind of say mirrors when it comes to personal and professional.
I'm going to throw one more question.
Yep, one more. Looking back, what was the turning point in your career or life that landed you where you are at right now? And did you know it was that important at that time?
I mean, for me, it's you know, when I left Mercury, I had multiple opportunities, and something about Bluewater, something about talking to, you know, my primary business partner, Andy here. I mean, I never heard of Bluewater in my entire life. Why would I choose here over the other large agencies that were named? Did I know? I mean, yeah, my family lives down here, and I was like, okay. So I had no idea that it was going to be, you know, this great, and I would be so successful and be so very happy with my partners, the business, and Florida. Is that crazy?
No,
You gotta you gotta leap. You gotta leap sometimes.
That's exactly right. That's what it is.
Yeah,
right.
you gotta leap.
I agree. So thank you all. You guys have been phenomenal panelists. I hope it was well received. It's something very different. We've never done a webinar like this. And I think it was very personal, but yet talking about business, talking about ethics. So thank you all, the four of you, for showing up big and participating. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Fern, for putting it together.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you for having me.
Eileen, I know you have to go, Eileen, so feel free. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all of you and to the Women's Leadership Council for bringing the event to us today. Just a wonderful conversation. If you're a PDMI member and would like to get involved, you can reach out to me or Fern directly to share interest in the Women's Council or any of our 7-member councils. Your next opportunity to attend the PDMI event live online is tomorrow, June 26th at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, when the Brand Response Council airs its latest episode of Take 20, a look at how the 2024 election and Olympics are affecting the media marketplace as we enter Q3. To register, please visit thepdmi.com/take-20. Finally, online registration for PDMI West is available now. The event is October 7th through 9th at our Hard Rock Hotel San Diego, and badges are $395 for PDMI members and $595 for non-members. Our specially priced hotel room block is available as well for badge holders only. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-West to get your badge and your discounted hotel room today. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.